many of us on this committee. I know Senator Shaheen has been active in this issue, supporting the women in Afghanistan. I think we mourn their upcoming, probably present loss of freedoms that we helped establish for them. It's kind of hard to just turn away from that. It's hard not to acknowledge the fact that America, with all the mistakes made, all the bad decisions on a bipartisan basis made, our intentions were good. I know in your testimony you covered this, but can you just reinforce again, what can we do, or is there nothing we can do to try and reinforce the gains that the Afghan women made during our time there?
Yeah, I mean, there are understandable reasons why it might be the impulse in American policy now to isolate the Taliban regime, to punish the regime, to make good on what the United States long said to the Taliban, which is that if you take power through military means rather than a negotiated settlement, you will be a pariah regime starved of resources. On the other hand, I do think we have to consider, what do you get out of a policy like that? What do the Afghan people, what do Afghan women get out of an isolation, states get out of an isolation policy vis-a-vis the Taliban? And my conclusion, and it's a difficult conclusion to make, and I've personally struggled with it, is you don't get anything at all. If there's any prospect of even slightly moderating Taliban policies, if there's any even slight prospect of having some perhaps secret cooperation with the Taliban on counterterrorism, it's not going to be by isolating them. It can only be through some engagement and through some relaxation of U.S. willingness to provide development aid that isn't directly to the Taliban government, but that could have the effect of helping them to reinforce their grip on power. We have to recognize that. The Taliban are resilient. They resisted enormous military pressure by the United States over 20 years. They are perfectly capable of resisting some financial pressure and efforts to use aid as leverage. And so I come to the difficult conclusion that some degree of engagement with the Taliban, avoiding particular individuals in particular ministries, and some degree of aid to be able to continue programs, for instance, to support women and girls in Afghanistan, is what is in the greatest interest of the United States as well as the Afghan people.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Miller. If I just quickly, Mr. Chairman, I just want to make a comment because I think in both cases, the answers to my questions indicate that as many as mistakes were made in the past, we have to look at the reality on the ground now, and we need to do everything we can to move positively forward. And that may be some pretty hard pills to swallow, but it's extremely important for us to look at the reality situation now and how can we make that reality better. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you to both